Number 5. Microscopic plastic seasoning. You know what goes great with water? Plastic. Tiny, invisible, indestructible plastic. Microplastics are in your tap water right now, and there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. These are fragments smaller than 5 millimeters, often way smaller, down to particles you'd need a microscope to see, that have broken off from larger plastic products. Every plastic water bottle that degrades, every synthetic fleece jacket that goes through the washing machine, every car tire that wears down on the highway, contributes microscopic plastic dust to the environment. And because plastic is essentially immortal on human timescales, all that fragmenting material has to go somewhere. Surprise, it goes everywhere, including your drinking water. Research from 2018 found microplastics in 83% of tap water samples taken from around the world. The United States actually led the pack with a 94% contamination rate. You're not drinking water, you're drinking a very weak plastic soup. These particles are so pervasive that they've been found in Arctic ice, in rain falling on remote mountains, and in the deepest parts of the ocean. If you think your Brita filter is saving you, think again. Most home filtration systems aren't designed to catch particles this small. What happens when you consume microplastics? Great question that science is still scrambling to answer. We know they can accumulate in your organs. We know they can carry toxic chemicals like phthalates and BPA on their surfaces. We know they've been found in human blood, lungs, and even placentas. But the long-term health effects? That's a fun experiment we're all participating in, whether we like it or not. Your body is slowly becoming a museum of modern industrial waste, one microscopic fragment at a time. And your tap water is the delivery system. Number 4. PFAS, the forever chemicals that really mean forever. There's a class of chemicals called PFAS, which stands for per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, but you can just call them forever chemicals because that's exactly what they are. These man-made compounds have been used since the 1940s in everything from non-stick cookware to firefighting foam to waterproof clothing. And they have one spectacular party trick. They basically never break down, ever. They're so stable that they persist in the environment and in your body for years, sometimes decades. And guess where they've ended up? If you guessed in your tap water, congratulations, you're paying attention. PFAS are in the drinking water of an estimated 200 million Americans, according to recent studies. They've contaminated water supplies near military bases, airports, and industrial sites, but they've also spread far beyond those hotspots because, again, they don't go away. Rain carries them. Rivers transport them. They seep into groundwater and stick around like the world's worst house guest. Your body absorbs them when you drink contaminated water, and then they accumulate in your blood and organs. Research has linked PFAS exposure to cancer, thyroid disease, immune system suppression, high cholesterol, and pregnancy complications. They're so prevalent that nearly every person in developed countries has detectable levels in their bloodstream. The truly dystopian part? These chemicals were so useful and so profitable that industries kept using them for decades, even after evidence of harm started piling up. We prioritized stain-resistant carpets and grease-proof food wrappers over long-term human health, and now we're all marinating in the consequences. Water treatment plants weren't designed to remove PFAS, and the few filtration methods that work are expensive and not widely implemented. So you're drinking water laced with compounds that will outlive you, your children, and probably your great-great-grandchildren. Every sip is a tiny deposit in the toxic legacy bank account of modern industrial convenience. Number 3. Pharmaceutical cocktail hour. Every time you fill a glass from the tap, there's a non-zero chance you're getting a microscopic dose of someone else's antidepressants and their birth control, and maybe a little bit of their blood pressure medication for good measure. Water treatment plants are really good at filtering out dirt and bacteria, but they weren't exactly designed with the modern pharmaceutical boom in mind. When people take medication, their bodies don't absorb 100% of it. Some gets metabolized and flushed out, literally flushed, down toilets, through sewer systems, and eventually into the water supply that gets cleaned and sent right back to your kitchen faucet. The kicker? These compounds are designed to be biologically active at extremely low doses. That's kind of the whole point of medicine. So even though we're talking about concentrations measured in parts per billion, you're still introducing hormone disruptors and psychoactive substances into your system every time you hydrate. Studies have found traces of everything from antidepressants to chemotherapy drugs in tap water samples across North America and Europe. Fish living downstream from treatment plants have been found with antidepressants in their tissue, and some male fish are developing female characteristics from synthetic estrogen that comes from, you guessed it, birth control pills passing through the human digestive system. Water treatment facilities use processes developed decades ago, and pharmaceutical contamination wasn't on anyone's bingo card back then. Adding the kind of advanced filtration needed to remove these compounds would cost billions in infrastructure upgrades. So instead, we've collectively decided that a little Prozac with your morning coffee is probably fine. Your tap water isn't just H2O, it's a chemistry experiment you didn't consent to join, brought to you by everyone else's bathroom habits and the limitations of 20th century engineering. Number 2, the Chlorine Paradox. Chlorine is both saving your life and slowly poisoning you, which is the kind of cosmic joke the universe apparently finds hilarious. Water treatment plants add chlorine to kill bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens that would otherwise turn your drinking water into a biological weapon. It works incredibly well. Chlorination is one of the greatest public health achievements of the last century. But here's the problem. Chlorine doesn't just kill microorganisms and then politely disappear. It sticks around, reacts with organic matter in the water, and creates disinfection byproducts with names that sound like rejected sci-fi villains. Trihalomethanes, haloacetic acids. These compounds form when chlorine meets naturally occurring organic material like decaying leaves or algae. The EPA regulates these byproducts because, and this is fun, they're linked to cancer, reproductive issues, and developmental problems. Drinking chlorinated water long-term has been associated with increased risks of bladder cancer and potentially colon cancer. The chlorine that's protecting you from dying of cholera might also be gently increasing your cancer risk over decades of exposure. It's a trade-off that public health officials decided was worth it, and honestly, they're probably right. Dying from waterborne diseases tomorrow is worse than a marginally elevated cancer risk 40 years from now. But let's not pretend it's consequence-free. Every time you shower in hot water, you're also inhaling chlorine gas and absorbing these byproducts through your skin. Your body is basically playing chemical roulette, balancing immediate survival against long-term cellular damage. The dose makes the poison, sure, but you're getting that dose multiple times a day, every day, forever. We've essentially decided that slow, invisible harm is an acceptable price for not having typhoid outbreaks. Welcome to modern civilization, where the water that keeps you alive is also kind of trying to kill you, just very, very slowly and in a statistically acceptable manner. Number 1. Lead's Greatest Hits Tour. Lead pipes were a monumentally terrible idea that we're still living with. Even though we've known lead as a neurotoxin for decades, millions of homes across America and Europe are still connected to water mains through lead service lines installed between the 1920s and 1980s. The metal slowly leaches into the water, especially if the water is slightly acidic, which means every time you turn on the tap, there's a possibility you're getting a side of heavy metal poisoning with your hydration. Lead doesn't break down or get filtered out naturally. It accumulates in your body, particularly in your bones and brain. The effects are insidious. In children, even low levels of lead exposure can permanently lower IQ, cause behavioral problems, and impair development. In adults, it contributes to high blood pressure, kidney problems, and cognitive decline. There's no safe level of lead exposure. The more you get, the worse it is. And it all adds up over a lifetime. The Flint water crisis made headlines because the contamination was so extreme and undeniable. But the reality is that lower-level lead contamination is happening in water systems all over the place. Testing often misses it because lead levels can vary wildly, depending on time of day, water temperature, and how long the water has been sitting in the pipes. Replacing all the lead pipes would cost somewhere between $30 to $60 billion in the US alone. So instead, we've mostly just crossed our fingers and hoped the protective mineral coating inside old pipes holds up. When it doesn't, when water chemistry changes or infrastructure gets disrupted, the lead starts flowing freely. Your tap water might be clean today and contaminated tomorrow, depending on variables completely outside your control. Basically, we built a massive neurological hazard into our infrastructure a century ago, and now we're all living downstream from that decision, one glass of water at a time.